Hi everybody, it's GM here. The video about to look at today is one of the ways of countering the Catalan opening, a very combative way. Remember, the Catalan is such a lethal kind of opening by white, which starts with d4. But before we get started with the game, I kindly request you that you help me subscribe to this channel, or better still, hit the like button of this video, as all proceeds and donations will go out to support kids in the hood through learning chess. My humble appreciations are in advance and thank you. Now, this was a game played between Magerramov and Garry Kasparov in 1977 in Baku. Remember, Baku was the birthplace of Garry Kasparov, and it's way down in Russia. So Magerramov was with the white pieces, and Garry Kasparov was with the black pieces. Remember when Kasparov was playing for the world chess championship, Magerramov became Kasparov's coach. But in this game, Magerramov had the white pieces and started the game with d4. Garry Kasparov played knight f6, c4. Garry Kasparov plays e6, knight f3, c5. More like getting into the Nimzo. And at this point, white can choose to play d5, which is, a viable option. But here, black would perhaps pick, and then white recaptures. You have d6, and this would transform almost into a Benoni. It could transpose into a Benoni, or white can continue with that, and then g6, e4, bishop g7, and that's the Benoni defense. Nothing so special. However, in this game, d5 was not pushed. Instead, Magerramov chose the Catalan. He didn't want to know what Garry Kasparov had prepared for him. Kasparov picks, he captures on d4. Magerramov knight recaptures on d4. d5 by Garry Kasparov. Bishop g2. e5. The pawn is pushed to just attack the knight on d5. On d4 rather. And this knight has to find a way back to its original square on f3. And that's what exactly happens. Knight back to f3. And Garry Kasparov pushes the same pawn to attack the knight. He pushes e4. Knight back to d4. This is just like a little taki-taka. Garry Kasparov captures on c4, and as things turn, is temporarily up a pawn. The game continues. Knight c3. Bishop c5, attacking the knight on d4. The knight, one way of defending the knight is throwing in a check and picking this pawn on c4. That will be a way to protect this knight. So that way, black defense, he has to block up this with a bishop at least. The bishop blockhead. So white picks up the pawn on c4. Black plays queen b6, attacking the knight 2 times. At this point, black is attacking the knight, and he's now has equalized. This is an equalizing. Queen b6 is an equalizing move straight in the opening. So basically here the game is 0-0. There are quite a number of options one could take, but Black thought and played bishop e6 just so he could defend that. To his horror, Kasparov developed knight c6. He developed one of his last pieces, minor pieces. And for some reason, Black thought and say the best move would be capturing on c6 with the knight. But Black, for some reason, I think wanted to have several things. And yet capturing here would be so good. This would be such a very good move. Instead, he moved this knight back to c2, which really is a dubious move. So he plays knight c2. In his mind, he thought that by the fact that when Black captures on e2, he would recapture with the knight. It's quite understandable. You don't want to have it. So the game continued. Bishop times e3 and knight times e3. But right in this spot, I don't know whether you say it, the next move that Garry Kasparov played. I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can find that move. Just to give you a hint, this queen is poorly positioned. This queen is poorly positioned. This square is taken away from it. 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 Neither is a square. All it has is this other square. That's the square on b3, because then it will be protected, because queen cannot pick it once it's here. Once it's played here, the queen, it will be queen exchange. So, having gotten that hint, Garry Kasparov played knight a5, and what this move signifies is the queen has no squares to go. That square is taken, it's under attack. This is taken, this is taken, this is taken, taken. These are the possible squares the queen can go to, and wherever it was set, it's taken. At this point, Magerramov resigned. The possible continuation could, however, be he would try to throw in this, but at this point, Kasparov would capture on c4, and knight captures b6, and Kasparov would recapture with the knight on b6. So Kasparov would be a piece up. At this point, there was no need to continue the game, and Magerramov resigned. Garry winning that game in Baku, in his hometown. Again, feel free to subscribe to my channel or hit the like button just so we can be able to support kids in the hood, as all proceeds will go to these kids. Thank you. I look forward to my next video.